All right. Well, good evening, everyone. We're going to begin our program. Well, welcome to Blue Zones. My name is Nicole Warwick. I have the great pleasure of being the executive director of our Blue Zones Project Petaluma. Welcome. This is our office space and also our community hub. It is my great pleasure, and on behalf of my team, raise your hands around here, my team. There we go. To welcome you to our space. If you have any questions at any time during this presentation, please raise your hand and speak clearly. The presenters will repeat your question because we have guests joining us virtually. We're a part of a hybrid event this evening. And so we'll also want to extend this welcome to our guests who are joining us virtually. A little housekeeping before we get going. If at any point in time you need to get up to take care of your biological needs, please do that. There's a restroom located back through the door on the left. There's two there. We're going to have a session where our youth break out from the adults, and they'll be meeting in the conference room. So parents, don't worry, they're still on site. They'll be right here with us. Please silence your telephones if you haven't already, and you're able to silence them. If you haven't yet had the opportunity to nourish, this evening's meal is provided by Lunchette, which is our neighbor across the street. If you haven't had the opportunity to try their food, they are a Blue Zones approved restaurant. And this evening we have lentil soup and a quinoa salad. Both are gluten-free and vegan. And let's see. Oh, one other thing. Because we have a virtual Zoom option, we will be recording online. You'll notice we also have a photographer in the house. I just want to bring your awareness to that, and that your presence here implies consent for her photographs. And if you have an issue with that, talk to her, and we'll make sure that you're eliminated from that. All right. Thanks, Lisa, so much. Now before we begin, let's just take a moment and take a breath together. Okay. You can start by putting your feet flat on the floor. Hi, welcome, come in. And just take a moment to breathe in nice and slow through your nose and exhale thoroughly through your mouth. And as you continue to breathe mindfully, you're noticing your awareness coming fully present. Thank you. Now, without further ado, it is my great pleasure to welcome Matthew Ingram from Healthy Petaluma District Foundation to welcome you to the space and orient you to our activities this evening. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Matthew Ingram from Healthy Petaluma. I'm really grateful to have you all here tonight and to be here. I'm the parent of two kids who are in Petaluma City Schools, both of whom are here tonight, who I dragged here tonight. I don't know if you had to drag your kids, but I did have to drag mine. I'm really grateful for them to be here. This is a pressing issue for so many of us in the community. And, we're up against some pretty powerful forces, right? Companies that are really running on the attention economy to try to grab our eyeballs and our kids' eyeballs to stay on screens. And, there's some risk to that, right? There's some potential kind of bad habit forming, and at worst, maybe even addiction. And there's kind of a spectrum in between there. And these companies are some of the most powerful, some of the smartest, best paid people working there. So there's some stuff to navigate. And I think we're starting to realize this as a community. And Healthy Petaluma is planning this event. We're here tonight in response to what we've heard from the community about this sort of interest and this need and this desire for a conversation and some professional expert guidance. So that's why we planned this. That's why we're here tonight. I was really pleased to find presenters and experts who are going to help be more, I think, practical and kind of provide us with some ideas and some skills to move forward. I know as a parent and community member, there's a ton of fear. It's like, if you want to be scared, there's all kinds of reasons to be scared. And, that's valid and important. And also, like, let's move into what we can do about it. So I really appreciate our presenters. And that's the tone that I think they deliver very effectively. We were here last week, really geared more toward elementary school kids and their caregivers. And so tonight is a little bit kind of the next step. We're also doing some work with the high schools to bring our experts into the high schools directly to work in kind of a peer-to-peer model. And we'll hear a little bit about that too. I just want to say Healthy Petaluma, you can check us out, healthypetaluma.org. Our mission is to improve the health and well-being of everyone here in Southern Sonoma County. That means physical health, but obviously also emotional and mental health. And we're really honored to be convening this conversation tonight. So kind of into the business and housekeeping, we're lucky to have these incredible speakers here tonight from ScreenSense and Generation Remix, both of which are local North Bay nonprofits, started and run by engaged parents who really want to help us navigate these thorny issues. So appreciate you being here tonight. Rebecca Cunningham is the Director of Technology at ScreenSense, a North Bay nonprofit that helps local families and caregivers navigate the hard questions that come with parenting in today's digital world. Her background is in software and data science. She uses her industry insights to empower families to cultivate a healthy relationship with technology. She's the parent of 2 high schoolers. Thanks, Rebecca. Alex Tower-Ewers is the Director of Communications at ScreenSense. Her background is in holistic health education, and her passion is building community in school settings and parent groups. She's the parent of 2 teen boys, 13 and 16. And finally, Tiffany Wyckoff is a former school leader and ed tech author. She's the founder of Generation Remix, also a local nonprofit, which is helping teens address mental health challenges through digital well-being leadership. Generation Remix youth leaders, also here tonight, help peers and younger kids build awareness and healthy digital habits. So just a couple of quick kind of housekeeping items as well. Thank you to Bianca Amandoli from Pura Event Design and Design Guild for making everything work well tonight. A few quick housekeeping notes. We are live streaming on Zoom, so you'll notice that we're going to be pacing. I'm probably talking way too fast, for example. We're going to be pacing ourselves to allow for live translation into Spanish as well, which is also happening online for those who are at home. We are going to try to keep us on schedule and end at 6:30. We're recording the Zoom webinar. We'll be sharing that recording after the fact. You can, if you RSVP'd, you'll get that link. If not, you can email Healthy Petaluma on our website, and that'll go on our YouTube channel. If you're on Zoom, please use chat for questions. We're going to be answering those at the end, but you can go ahead and enter them whenever. And just bear with us if we experience technical issues. Spanish interpretation, as I mentioned, is available. The slide is showing how to get there. You just click the globe icon and select Spanish, and you can return to English by doing the same thing. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and invite the speakers to the front, starting with Tiffany, who can tell us a bit about how we're going to host the breakout sessions for the youth who are here tonight. Okay, thank you.
Hi, I'm Tiffany, as Matthew said, from Generation Remix, and I started Generation Remix because like most of the older, my generation people in the room, I did not grow up having to navigate a digital life. And we do have a generation of kids who have, and I believe that there's a lot of lived experience, insight from those teenagers and young adults who have actually figured some really cool stuff out. So I have a couple of our youth leaders here with me. I have DT and Myron here. I have to say hi here real quick.
Hi, I'm DT. I go to San Moran. I'm a junior, and I'm really excited to be here because Generation Remix has helped me grow a lot and like navigate my way through media.
I'm Myron. I'm a senior at San Moran High School. I joined Generation Remix because I was interested in helping others with their well-being as I struggled with it in the past. And after this, we're gonna take any middle schoolers and high schoolers here, and we're gonna break out to the back. So how many middle schoolers or high schoolers do we have here today? You just raise your hands.
Way to go!
Oh, please come on back with us, all of you.
Yeah, trust me. You want to follow them. It's going to be a lot of fun, and you are going to learn a lot. All of our stuff is youth-led, but research-backed. So we'll see you in the back of the room back there. Thank you.
Ready to go?
Hi, everybody. Welcome. Parents, thank you for staying. In a few minutes, you might decide that you'd rather be with the teenagers in the back. Thank you, Matthew, for that very nice introduction. Unfortunately, today's talk is going to be a little bit more doom and gloom than the one was last week. But we promise not to stay there. There are some important things that we really, really want parents to know about social media, which is hopefully why you are sitting in this chair tonight. Again, I'm Alex and I have 2 teenage boys. We managed to get through middle school without Snapchat, Instagram, all of it. I have a new 16-year-old with new access to Snapchat since last week. So we are navigating this just like all of you. This is Rebecca.
Yeah. Hi, I'm Rebecca. I have 2 kids, 14 and 16. They're both in high school and they both have social media to some extent. My 14-year-old just got Instagram 2 weeks ago. And so we're navigating that for the first time and trying to make sure it's reined in. But so we have real life experience.
So just to kind of get a sense of who is in the room tonight, and if again you don't want to answer, you don't need to, but how many of you have elementary aged children? How about middle school? How about high school? Okay, good. How many of you use one of these apps? Instagram, Snapchat, TikTok, or Discord? Okay. How many of your kids use one of those apps? Oh, well, nice. Good. Nice number. How many of you who just raised your hand feel that there's something unexpected about one of these apps or their social media use that you don't know how to deal with? We keep raising our hands to all of it. And how many of you wish that social media just didn't exist and you could be doing something else in your life? Okay, but it's here. And we're here tonight and we're really, really glad that you made the time on a Wednesday night when you could be doing something totally different, talking about social media. It's really, really important that we find a way to start these conversations in our communities. Screen Sense has been around for 8 years, and for the first 6 to 7 years, the founder spent a lot of time having to convince people that people should pay attention. What we're seeing now is that people don't need to be convinced, they just want to know what to do. So we're hoping to leave you with some tactics of what you actually can do. Middle school. Despite the constant digital connection and contact that is happening across all ages, adolescents are more disconnected than ever before. In fact, kids today, our kids, spend 65% less time with their friends than all of us did in our youth. And a lot of times parents ask, well, does social media have something to do with it? Is it the phones? And what's coming up is that the answer to that is actually yes. In the Anxious Generation, how many of you have heard of the Anxious Generation? This is a book that came out by author Jonathan Haidt. We have a copy of it in the back. You can take a look at it. He was the first one to really bring up the data linking social media use to higher rates of depression, anxiety, and sleep problems in adolescents. And he goes so far as saying that social media is the single worst perpetrator of harm to children currently. So how much harm? It's a lot. According to Pew Research Center, 95% of teens in the United States use social media. It's almost every single one of them. 1 in 3 of them report that they use social media almost constantly. And the Journal of American Medical Association has found that 3 hours per day on social media doubles the risk of poor mental health. As you can see, the numbers are staggering. 150% increase in teen depression since smartphones and social media have come into play, 139% increase in young adult anxiety. And to me, the statistic that is the most challenging to deal with is a 300% increase in self-harm among young adolescent girls. Take that in for a minute. The thing is, it's not just smartphones, it's what's on the smartphones. The body of data and research is growing and showing that early, unsupervised, and unmonitored social media use is causing harm in our most vulnerable demographics, which is children under age 18. And the thing is that these numbers aren't just hypothetical. They are happening in our schools, in our communities, in our churches, on our sports teams. Rebecca and I both have close friends who have navigated unsurmountable issues in the last few years with their young adults who learned something on TikTok and Snapchat and Instagram that has caused them harm. If you have friends with teenagers, check in with them. Ask them. They might have a story for you. It's not something a lot of people want to share. It's something that a lot of people are dealing with. Attention is becoming more fragmented, and our sleep is being compromised across all age groups. We're in a really bad place. But it's not game over. It's not game over at all. And what we just need to realize is that for the last 10 years, the adoption of technology has sort of been a non-brainer decision. We've just kind of done it. What we want now is parents to step back, take a pause, and realize that they have a choice, that we have agency to choose certain things for our children. If you've already given social media, we actually have more control to reel it in than we think. So what are we talking about when we talk about social media? The big four, these guys, TikTok, Instagram, Snapchat, and Discord. The reason we're talking about these four specifically is that these are the ones that are most used by youth in the United States, both locally and nationally. TikTok is basically an endless scroll. You just like scroll through it. Rebecca's going to spend some time on each one of these. My kids call it brain rot. I think you might have heard that word before. Instagram is also the endless scroll of content, but it also has a social connection to it. Snapchat and Discord are really used for kids a lot of times for communication. These apps were originally designed for adults. They were never, ever, ever intended or designed for youth use. But these apps are so intuitive and so sparkly that it's been really easy for kids to adopt them and take them on. And all the parents have said, well, they can't be so bad. Everybody's doing it. These are not the MySpace and Facebook of our generation. Let me tell you, it's not even the Instagram or the TikTok that we might be seeing. Our goal tonight is to really give you a very clear and realistic picture of what our kids are experiencing through these online apps and leave you with some practical tools of what to do next. We unfortunately have to add this slide. So when we gave this presentation for the first time, we didn't have to include this because YouTube Shorts didn't exist. YouTube Shorts is basically TikTok. TikTok is YouTube Shorts. The same content creators are sharing the same messaging, videos, content. So if you feel pretty proud of yourself that you haven't presented or allowed social media, but your child is spending endless times on YouTube, they are on YouTube Shorts. I guarantee it. The struggle with YouTube Shorts is that it's accessible on any device, any television, any school device, unless it's been locked down, and there's absolutely no way to turn it off. So anything you hear about TikTok tonight, in your brain, just say YouTube Shorts or TikTok Shorts. That's what I've been calling it. All right, so what are we talking about here? We like to think of social media like an iceberg. There's the part up above the water that kids see, that parents see, but nobody really knows what's underneath it. So for kids, for example, they don't necessarily see the whole story. They see fun videos, they see the things that their friends are talking about, but they might not see and understand the hidden messages below the surface. Below the sort of fun and silly videos, there are often subliminal messages, influencer values, and peer pressures, and a lot of suggestion for consumption of goods and things. Kids absorb these opinions, insecurities, and extreme content with clicks and attention just over and over and over again. And middle schoolers are so impressionable that they don't even notice the messaging that they're getting. And oftentimes families find that the messaging that they're getting is completely not aligned with the values that you're trying to parent at home. So you get conflict. And there's also another part of the iceberg, which is the part that the parents don't see. So if you have Instagram or TikTok, the feed that you might be seeing is completely different to what your child is seeing. So we have a sense of can't be that bad. And oftentimes it's not. It often starts with bluey and rainbows and unicorns and fun things. Maybe it starts with a favorite show that they have. And then very quickly and without much preparation, it turns to something else. Not that we don't love Sephora, but for those of you who haven't heard about the tween girls Sephora craze, there are 10-year-olds spending $200 a month on their nightly skincare routine. I don't even spend that much on my skincare routine. That isn't to say that we don't love self-care and we don't love young women taking care of themselves, but at what cost and how early? Mr. Beast might also be a household name. Who knows? Who's heard of Mr. Beast? Yeah, okay, yeah. So Mr. Beast has perpetrated every single household across America. He now has brands of chocolate. He has all kinds of things. So it could be that you're just somewhere and you get a like, let's go look for this chocolate. And you spend a whole afternoon trying to find the chocolate that Mr. Beast has just showed on his social media. They're really terrible, by the way, the chocolates. Don't buy them. And then there's Prime Drink. Let's not even get started about that. So it's too much, it's too soon, and it's too fast. This is one of our favorite quotes from Kim John Payne, who wrote the book Simplicity Parenting. So how is it that our kids get all this content so fast?
So I'm going to talk about the algorithm, and then I'm going to talk about the social media apps. And then we are going to get to steps that you can take to help get this under control if it's a problem at home. So the algorithm, what is it? We've probably all heard about the algorithm, and maybe some of us know and understand it and some of us don't. So let's just talk about it. So you can think of social media like a giant TV network, right? But different from a TV net, instead of like everybody seeing the same shows, the algorithm is a computer program that's sort of learning the behaviors of your kid and responding to it. So it's a very specialized feed based on your kid, right? So what it's doing is it's paying attention. It's watching what your kid likes, what they comment on, who they follow, what sort of general themes they're interested in. But then it also sprinkles in things that they didn't choose and so sees like, how are they going to respond to this? And if they interact with it, or even if they just pause and stop on it, the algorithm picks up on that and then feeds it more, right? And so it's going to feed your kid more of not just what they choose to follow, but also what they stop and watch. And so that's where it can become problematic. The ways in which it are problematic, one is that it's built to be addictive, right? It's really built to find the thing that's going to help you be stuck to the screen, help your kid be stuck to the screen, and keep them there and hold them there often longer than they realize. And it's hard for them to pull out of it. Also, it has the ability to amplify risky content, right? Because like a car crash that you can't walk away from, when they serve something that's really tasty in that way, even if it's something that you don't like, sometimes you stop and watch it, right? And the algorithm picks up on that and feeds more of that. And so it can kind of repetitively amplify that type of content. And it's just really, the apps are meant to keep your attention. The apps are earning money by your kids spending time on the apps. And so they're built to be addictive. The algorithm's doing a good job if they're holding your kids' attention for as long as it possibly can. And so that's what it's optimized to do. I just want to mention also that AI chatbots kind of fall in the same category here. And most social media now have AI chatbots included in them, or some other AI component. And so they are similarly learning about your kid and responding in a way that's going to keep them engaged. And the kid's not really capable of pulling out of that on their own. So we're going to talk about the apps. We're going to start with Instagram. Hi, everybody online. I remembered about you. Instagram. So Instagram's a very popular app. Probably a lot of us are using it ourselves. It's super popular for teens. A lot of what Instagram is used by teens is to sort of develop an online identity, right? They're really feeling like they're sort of putting together everything that they want to present for themselves as their identity. So they might follow celebrities, influencers, and then also friends, right? And maybe family members. Maybe there's an aunt out on the East Coast that they're following. Maybe even grandma has an Instagram account. There's some cool grandmas out there that do that. And it's very visual, right? There's a lot of pictures and videos. Sometimes it'll be like scrolling text to get a message across. But the real undercurrent of Instagram can be about comparison and body image issues. We know that girls aged 13 to 15 get fed disordered eating content a lot. And so this content tends to pull those users in and reinforce that, that type of behavior and thinking, which can be really problematic. So also kids can follow hashtags. And so when they have curiosities, when we were growing up and we had curiosities, what could we do? We could maybe talk to our friends about it, maybe look at an encyclopedia or some other book we found on a shelf or the library, right? Kids these days are typing it into their social media account to see what's going to happen. And so there's all sorts of things and different directions that kids can be led in for that. And as I mentioned, there's a lot of disordered eating, body image stuff that happens, not just for girls, but also for boys. And so there's just constant comparison and a lot of sexualization as well. Just to mention, 32% of teen girls reported that when they felt bad about their body and then they went on Instagram, it made them feel worse. And nearly 47% of users aged 13 to 15 reported receiving unsafe content or unwanted messages. So this is the other thing that these apps do. And Instagram is a place where kids can be contacted by strangers. And, you know, if there's bad actors out there, your kid may be exposed to something. TikTok, short form video app. Alex talked a little bit about it. You know, really the main thing with TikTok is it's so sticky, right? It's so addictive. The algorithm is so good at feeding content that your kid's gonna want to kind of stay on, and it can just suck time so badly. It's highly distracting, and it can become a default. Pick up the phone, and that's what you're sucked into, and it's really hard to pull away from. If your kid's posting on TikTok, then that's another element. Of course, this also applies to Instagram. If your kid's posting things, then like their self-worth really feels tied up in who's responding to their post, how many people have liked it, are there negative comments? These things land particularly hard for middle schoolers who are in that really sensitive spot where their emotions are like flying so high and low all the time. They're very responsive to that social component. And so if they get negative feedback or very little feedback or engagement, it can feel really, really bad for them. And so, yeah. Sorry, I want to make sure I don't miss anything here. So TikTok knows there are too many young users on TikTok, so they sometimes sweep it and clean it up, but this is a problem, and it continues to be a problem. Three out of 4 users say TikTok is addictive. I mean, I don't use TikTok, actually. I can't quite get myself into it, but I think most people that use it can also see that. And 1 in 16 say they use it almost constantly. So it's a real problem. So Snapchat, let's talk a little bit about Snapchat. Snapchat is a messaging app where photos, text, videos, once they've been sent, can disappear really quickly after being read or seen. So this really promotes sort of sharing of potentially risky content. And it gives kids a false sense of privacy that what they're sending out there isn't going to live on, but a lot of times it ends up living on, or it can end up living on. And so, you know, this picture that we have right up here right now is a snap map. And the thing about Snapchat is it's really gamified. So even as you look at it here, these are all avatars, right? They don't look like real people, but they are all real people, right? And so you can go on your Snap map when you're on Snapchat and see other people that are actually physically around you in the town or wherever you are. And so you see where everybody is. So you can imagine for a middle schooler, if all their friends are on the Snap map at the mall, if people still went to malls, then you know, your kid's like, why am I not with all of those people? And they can feel really bad and lonely. And that's a terrible feeling, again, at this age, at any age really, but and Snapchat really promotes connecting with strangers. So because it's so gamified, it gives you a score for connecting with more people and for like posting like messages back and forth. You have like these streak scores. And so it's really gamifying interaction with the app, pulling people in, but also connecting with strangers. And that's where a lot of the danger comes from in Snapchat. So it might be like your friends, whoever your friend is connected with is offered for you to connect with, and then you're connected with people that you don't know in real life. And the reality is that Snapchat reports an insane amount of sextortion cases every month. On the Snapchat website, like on their actual website, they have a page dedicated to sextortion. That's how bad it is. It's a really common thing that's happening. I know people personally that have been affected by this. And so this is not just sort of like some people maybe, it really is actually happening. Also kids, it's very common for kids to access drugs through Snapchat. This is the common way that kids are doing it now, not through their friends, not from like their brother, their cousin, or whatever it used to be, right? It's actually through Snapchat with strangers that they've connected with who just like send them a drug menu. So that's also happening. And then there have been cases of fentanyl, poisoning through that avenue. So it's just something that we should all be aware of if our kids are exposed to these apps. Last one, I promise, Discord. So Discord is really, it's a chat and voice app. It's meant to collect people around common interests. And so kids will sometimes come onto Discord because they're interested in a particular video game and find a server where they can go and talk about that video game. It can be social and fun. The servers are not monitored and anybody can, for the most part, join. You can also create private chats, but in the access of Discord, you can't just have it only be private chats. So there's access to a huge amount of strangers out there. And bad acting adults, again, can come in, share common interest, build some trust, and then elicit, potentially explicit content or promote risky behavior or anything like that. So just, they can get pulled into any other kind of risky things. And then, of course, again, sextortion is an issue on Discord and is being investigated by the FBI currently. So the bottom line is that, we just want you to be aware. This is what's happening on these apps. We need to all kind of know what's really happening under there and understand it in order to understand also like what are our kids getting out of it, and then what can we do to protect them.
Before I get to my next slide, does everybody know what sextortion is? Okay.
Oh, okay.
It's all right. We talk
You want
about,
me to do
we
it?
talk
I
about
can
this
do it.
all the
I can
time
do it.
that I
I can do
forget.
it.
Go ahead.
I'm so sorry. Okay, so sextortion is where like a bad acting adult will pose as a peer and befriend somebody and become, really usually somehow befriend them to the point where they can convince them to send them an explicit photo. Once they have an explicit photo or video, they will screen grab it and then tell the kid, hey, I'm going to share this. I know all of your followers. I know what school you go to. I know what your name is because all of that's on,
works.
that's all on their profiles a lot. I mean, not the dad working, but you can find that stuff on the internet and then say, I'm going to send this to everybody you know, unless you send me $1,000 right now. And then they'll be like, right now, right now, right now. So that is a thing that happens and it can be really distressing. Okay. Thanks.
So
Sorry.
that's okay. So with cases of sextortion, the best case scenario is that you've talked to your child about this and they know that they can immediately come to you no matter what picture they've posted and talk to you about it. The worst case scenario is that children have ended their life because of this in a very short amount of time. If you want to learn more about this and to dig into the true harms of what's happening on social media, there's a new documentary out called Can't Look Away. It's really doom and gloom. It's really hard to watch. It's also really important to watch. You can find it online and watch it yourselves. But it's the cases of families who have lost a child due to some sort of behavior on social media that is now coming to the surface. But my slide's about the happy side of social media. The upsides and downsides. So maybe you're sitting there and saying, yeah, but aren't there good things about social media? And there are. There are really fun things about social media. It can be fun. It can be silly. It can connect you with people who are interested in the same passions and likes that you have. I am a longtime Instagram user. Rebecca is too. I've also seen how the app has significantly changed over the last 10 to 15 years. The problem is that it's a mixed bag, and you don't get the positive without the negative, and you don't get the upsides without the downsides. And the reality is that the downsides right now for our kids cannot be ignored anymore. So let's talk about this. Middle school brains. We heard that our slide last week from the presentation where we have actually brains from 5 to 17 was really an influential slide. So we'll make sure to add that next time. But the whole point is that middle school brains are really special. There is more brain development and growth happening between the ages of 10 to 15 than in any other developmental stage of our lives. And the reality is that middle school brains are the perfect social media consumer. Middle school brains are highly responsive to reward and novelty. Like they crave it constantly. The likes, the comments, the goods, it keeps them with this like trigger of dopamine. And that encourages repetitive use and staying on the app. Middle schoolers are also super sensitive to peer approval. So more followers, more app, the coolness of what you get about yourself from these apps, again, leads to more repetitive checking and scrolling. Middle schoolers do not have a fully developed prefrontal cortex. That's the front of the brain that is needed for all the important things like judgment, impulse control. And we're giving them apps and devices that is really suggesting that they need to have these things developed, and they just don't. So when is all this repetitive checking and scrolling happening? It's happening in the bathroom. It's happening at school. It's happening in the middle of the night. It's happening at all the times when our kids should be focused on something else. Like I said, ideal social media customer according to people who want to keep them on the app. And the developers know this. So what do we do about it? We can't wait for laws and social media companies to figure out that they need to be doing something different. We did find out today that Instagram has a new content filter for teen accounts, that it's a PG-13 content only. Everyone kind of was excited about that. But again, it's one filter. We never know how useful it's going to be. But the reality is that we've normalized giving apps and social media access to kids. We can normalize them not getting it. And we need to kind of start today. While we can teach responsible use of technology, there is no way to teach the maturity that is needed to deal with social media that only comes with growing up. It's not something that you can face. Middle schoolers and for sure elementary age children are not developmentally ready for social media, no matter how mature you think your child might be. So there isn't a consensus of when to allow it, but there's definitely a consensus of when not to allow it. And middle school and elementary school is the line that people are drawing. So how do we make it easier to say not yet? Because that's been part of the challenge. What we need the parents in this room to do and the parents of middle schoolers now to do is to do the hard work. You and all of us, we are in the middle of a norm changing, of a tipping point, which means that we have to go against the grain. We have to swim in the opposite direction, which can feel really hard. But we really, really want to encourage you to sort of be the pioneers in this and take a stand. One thing you can do is trust your parenting instinct and be okay to say no. We also want you to be as informed as you possibly can. A lot of parents say, I have no idea what my kid's doing on the app, or so-and-so is doing this. No. So if your child has an access to a social media app and you don't know really what they're doing, go home tonight, download it onto your device and make yourself a profile and go in there, check it out, see what they're exposed to, start to understand the apps so that you can be helpful in reining it in. And really what you want to do is band together with other like-minded parents. Social media is one of those things that's really, really hard for parents to delay on their own because of the social pressure. And so it really helps if you can find a group of parents in a classroom, at a school, where you decide to delay together. Because when your child is the last one who doesn't have Snapchat and is being left out of the events or the parties, it feels terrible. It feels really, really terrible. And at one point you then say, okay, I'll just do it. And that's what parents in this age group are just sort of having to navigate right now. The work we're hoping to do now is that 3 to 5 years from now, the parents don't even have to have that conversation. So, but many high schoolers already have social media. What do we do about that?
So I assume a lot of you are here because you have already given social media, or your kid has taken social media. And of course, we have kids with social media. It's not too late. I just want to say, like, we are not here with judgment at all. We are here to support. Everybody who's here is doing the best that they can. You are not alone. So many kids have social media, and it's a really difficult time to parent, and it's a really difficult thing to parent. So know that by showing up here, it's a great step. Just being here and listening to this and thinking about what you can do. So the first thing to do is to really try to understand the situation, and think about what you're doing. What behavior are you modeling? So this is really powerful, especially for kids in this age, because they really start challenging us a lot, right? As parents, they want to say, like, but what about how you use Instagram, Mom? I've definitely heard that. um, so think about what you can do to model the behavior that you want to see. If you're on Instagram late at night and your kid sees that, maybe it's time to put it away a little bit earlier. And you can talk about the boundaries that you're setting for yourself too. Maybe you want to put it away during dinner. You want to make sure everybody is putting it away during dinner. And maybe you want to set time limits on apps that you have problems with. You can talk about how you get pulled into your device so that you're sort of on the same page as your kid if you are actually experiencing those things. And I'll say, I do work with individual families that are struggling with this issue sometimes. And I worked with a family recently. The mom was really concerned because her kid was on TikTok and Instagram up to 5 hours a day, even on a school day. And, I talked to her about her habits. I just mentioned it. I didn't even ask. I just said, think about how you can demonstrate what you want to see. And we came back and met a couple of weeks later. She said she realized how much time she was spending on YouTube, that she hadn't even really thought about it before, but she realized she was spending a lot of time on YouTube, and she cut it out entirely. And it changed the way she was able to approach the conversation with her kid, because she could come from a place of understanding, and also, as an example, just be an example. Look what I just did, and look at how, and it just really helps the kid hear it better. Thank you. So we're going to get tactical now. You need to identify the problem area. So understand how your kid is using social media, using their phone. What apps are they spending time on? Where is the problem happening? Are they on it late at night while you're asleep? Is that the primary issue? Is it because they're spending too much time on it? Where is the issue? Find one problem that you want to tackle and start there. Do not go home and take everything away from them. That is not a good strategy, and it's not going to go well. But you can come up with one thing that you want to change, and you can focus on that one thing. And until you get a handle on that, don't move on to something else. Move on when you're done with that thing to the next thing. So really just go slow, take it one issue at a time, and preserve your relationship with your child, because it's really, really important. If you do nothing else, this is what we recommend most. Protect sleep. Get those devices out of the bedroom at night. Pick a time when you know those devices need to go away. Go in, collect them physically. That is the best way to do it. Collect the phone, the iPad, the laptop, any other tablets. anything that has like the Nintendo Switch, you know, whatever, because Nintendo Switch can get online. You can do YouTube on your Nintendo Switch. So get all of those devices and take them away. If you have a hard time sort of confiscating things, you can use other tools. Your Wi-Fi router almost certainly has the ability to set a downtime. And we have a link in our e-packet that will help you figure this out. But your Wi-Fi router has a way to set downtime for specific devices. So that means you can say, I want this phone and this iPad and this laptop to shut off from the internet at a specific time at night, and then it can turn back on the next morning at a time of your choosing. So again, we have a link in the e-packet that helps you walk you through how to do that. Similarly, you can do that with cell service. So if you're worried, okay, shut off Wi-Fi, but they can still use their cell connection. You can shut off cell service in the same way. If you have AT&T, if you have Verizon, if you have T-Mobile, all of them have apps that you can go in and set a downtime where the cell service will shut down at night and not turn back on until the next morning. So those are all ways you want to use some combination of tools, probably, especially if this is a particularly problematic issue at night. Protect sleep. When you get that sleep worked out, it feels so much better. I guarantee you. So that's my sleep. Now, when you're thinking about what you want to fill the space, if you're going to be taking away social media, you want to think about what do you want your kids to be doing off of screens. I'm not going to go into all of these, but I will say one of the things they really need to be doing is understanding how to navigate their feelings off screens. It's a really important thing for them to build resilience in those bad feelings without scrolling on social media. That's really going to help them later in life, prevent like some of those anxiety and depression issues that we're seeing in young adults, if they can build some resilience around, you know, navigating these different ups and downs that are very normal for them at this age. So there are also ways that you can use tools on different devices to manage screen time, specifically for specific apps. For Apple, there's a screen time tool. You have to make sure your kid is in your family, and then you can manage the time that they spend on each app on their phone. For Google, for Android devices, you want to use Google Family Link. Similarly, that will help you limit how much time they're allowed to use each app on a daily basis. We have links again in our e-packet that help walk through how to do these things, and video tutorials that will help with this. We recommend, it might feel extreme for some kids that have a lot of time, we recommend 20 minutes a day for a social media app. And that's because that is proven to be the least harmful for kids, actually for anybody. So maybe 20 minutes a day for everybody. But that proves to be the least harmful for mental health. And then think about how you can minimize notifications as well, because that'll reduce the draw back into the device. Now, these safeguards are really, well, I'm going to go back just for a second. I just want to say these things aren't perfect. These tools are not going to replace parenting. You have to be in conversation with your kids about what they're doing on these apps and on their devices in general. The tools are not going to be perfect. Sometimes they're just not going to work, or your kids are going to find a way around them. And I just want to point out they're just not perfect, but they are a good thing to support your parenting. Additional safeguarding, so reduce followers. Really, really encourage your kids to only connect with people that they know in real life. Not like, oh, I know this is so-and-so's cousin. You know, no. People that you've met in real life. Set your account to private and choose the people that follow you. And then keep your personal details out of the profile if you can. I think this is really hard for a lot of kids, but keeping, you know, not putting your real name in the profile, not putting the school or grade, that also helps with safety. And you know, basically you need to keep two swim lanes as parenting this issue. One is make sure and help your kids spend their time well, both online and offline as best as you can, right? So you just want to be connected, talking to them, encouraging the things that they like to do off screen as much as you can. And then you want to do what you can to make sure they're safe when they are online. And keep them protected from those risks that we talked about earlier and from connecting with strangers and bad actors.
Add something to
Mhm.
the safeguards on Snapchat. I'm sure you could turn off the location.
Yeah,
I think that's.
yeah, that's true.
Thing.
I didn't
Yes.
put location there. Yeah.
Yes, so there are a lot of details about the specific apps that we could dive into, but we don't have enough time to do that. One of the things we recommend is that there's an event called the Vigilant Parent Initiative, and anyone can schedule one for free. It's through your local law enforcement, and they actually come in, they give everybody an iPad, and then you do a deep dive into each one of these apps. They definitely do not sugarcoat anything, and they definitely are a little bit gloom and doom. But it's a worthwhile thing if you really want to get into the details. So we gave a lot of information on how you can safeguard the apps. There is more. The first step to really talking about social media is doing what you've done tonight, is to come here, listen to something like this, and be in community. So look around. You might know each other, you might not know each other, but you are parents who are receiving the same message, which is that we need to pay attention to what our kids are doing on social media. There are plenty of things and next steps that you can do together. So we have mentioned the e-packet on the back. There's a counter back there that has a bunch of books that we really enjoy. I know you probably have nightstands that are full of books. A lot of them have audio versions, which are really good to listen to in the car. There's a QR code back there that you can scan, and it will take you directly to the e-packet, which has more details about everything that we talked about tonight. In the next week, can you talk to one parent, a school leader, a friend about something that you learned tonight, something that stood out to you, something that you said, I really want to talk about this more? In the next week, can you check in with your kids about the apps that they are using? Say, hey, I'm just curious. Can you show me what you're doing? Can you show me your Snap Map? Who do you talk to there? If you come at them with sort of like guns barreling and try to delete something and change something, you're not going to get the response that you want. You want to be collaborative. If you have an elementary school child, however, who has these apps, we give you permission to go in and delete them immediately.
Yeah.
And you can blame us. You can say, I heard these two ladies talk and they said we should delete them. So go ahead and delete them. And then make sure to remove the app store from the phone. And again, examine your family sleep routine. That's one of the lowest hanging fruits that you can start with. And for some families, that makes a big difference, actually, that it gets the phones out of the beds at night. And a well-rested middle schooler is a whole other ball of wax.
Really changes things.
So we're really thrilled that we were here tonight. And as with last week, we'd love to open this up to Q&A and try and answer your questions.
There we go.
Does anyone have any questions? Yeah.
One challenge that I've noticed is that my kids do homework on screens that provide by schools. And I used to, I don't against them on that because they can alt tab or whatever over to something. I come over and I see them quickly clicking back to their assignment. And I'm like, what are you studying? And they're like, just homework. Oh, well, let me see. And I'm the cop always.
Yeah, so for our friends online, the question was, we have our kids that are doing schoolwork on a device and they are accessing all of these contents while they're supposed to be doing homework. School issue device, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there's a couple of things. If there's particular websites or something that are a concern, you could potentially block them on your Wi-Fi. I mean, kids are going to find ways around. What I would choose to do if it were me is, one, put them in a public place where they have to sit in front of me. Two, time box it. So you have an hour to get this done. I know that this isn't going to take longer than this amount of time. And then if they flit around a little bit, but just take it away when the hour's up and they don't get it done, I mean, and that's assuming that they're motivated to get their work done. I'm not sure if that's the case. I mean, sometimes So,
One other addition to that is that you can go to your school, and everyone might be being
Mhm.
like, we've done that
Yeah.
already. But some schools don't realize it. They, so that's always a first point of contact, is to potentially go to the school tech support or your homeroom teacher and just say these apps are being accessed on the devices. And sometimes you'll get a tech support who's like, yeah, sorry, if they're not on our Wi-Fi, there's nothing we can do about it. Or they might say, oh, we didn't realize, here's what we can do, or here's what you can do at home. So you're not alone in this. School devices are a huge problem.
Yeah, I'm thinking more from sort of this other angle of like trying to educate my child on not looking at other people's screens when they're not at the house.
Mm.
And how they're like at playgrounds and everywhere, and other parents have different rules. So like
Yeah.
sometimes you can be like, hey, my kid can't look at that, but then they're like, well, I can't, like and I was just wondering, advocacy wise, if you see a good place to put our energy, because I feel like we are unable at times to stop it. Cause like we're saying, there's all these things that are great and we're trying to like set controls. And then there's kids at the playground who are just like, yo, I'll show you, and it's like, holy crap, it's so much. And so like, obviously I have to train him to be thoughtful of that and have tried, but it's really difficult. And I feel like nobody's accountable either, because it's kids showing kids and it's videos. And so, and it's like, well, hold on, this is super dangerous. And we have like just videos and kids showing them to each other on playgrounds without like any kind of parental controls on it. And I
Yeah.
don't know, like if we can advocate to say no videos on playgrounds, or something. Like, I feel like there's some bigger issues too that are really upsetting me.
Absolutely. So for everyone at home, the question was sort of on a bigger scale of advocacy, of seeing, where's the line between what parents have control over and where is sort of the outside space of access where children are just together and there's phones, and kind of knowing when to choose what you can control and what you can't control.
It's a hard one.
Yeah.
It's a really hard question. You don't have control over other kids and how they're parented and whether they get the devices. I think what you're doing sounds really great, which is, talking to your kid about it and talking about why it's important for them to pay attention to what they're seeing and maybe when to look away. I think that, building community of like-minded people can really help you. And maybe there's some people in this room that you can connect with to help your kid kind of build, some community around people that are showing up more in real life. But it is really challenging.
So I think to add to that too, there's two things that I see. One, I think that it's really important as parents to figure out what we do have control over and what what's your like, I'm gonna die on this hill. Like, this is my thing and for us, it was sleep. Like, I was just like, there are going to be no devices. So to really figure out for you, because as you go through middle school into high school, it gets harder and harder to do that. So really with your child, to figure out for you, which ones are the most important things to protect. And it sounds like you're having really good conversations already, because our kids are going to be exposed to everything that's on social media, whether you have social media or don't have social media. So the more that they know that they can talk to you about anything that they see online, the better. That they know that there's no shame, that you're not going to judge them, that you're not going to get all mad about something, that you're not going to say they can't go to a friend's house. Those are the ways. And then in terms of advocacy, there are a lot of groups that are trying to make big sweeping changes. So there's something called Smartphone Free Childhood, which is groups across the United States that are bringing people together like this all over. It's happening nationally and internationally, actually. There's the Wait Until 8th movement, which is parents that are coming together to delay phones. And one of the biggest spaces where advocacy has happened is around phone-free schools. So 2 years ago, when we talked with school leaders, they were like, don't talk to us about technology. It's here. Kids have to deal with it. And now they're knocking on our door saying, we need to get the phones out of schools. What do we do? So there is a shift happening, and it's happening around schools. Schools often have a phone-free policy that is maybe like off and away. But what we really want schools to have is a bell-to-bell policy where it's off at the beginning of school and off till the end. Because like all these like checking Snapchat, if you can envision that happening between like math and
Classes.
biology class, They
So-
go, they check it, and then the whole first half hour of math class, they're not thinking about math. They're thinking about the SNAP score that they didn't get to do. So phones need to be away from the beginning of school till the end. And so there's huge advocacy from parents happening around that. So if there's something you want to dive into, you can definitely look on our website. There's all kinds of places to join.
There's a question in the chat.
Yes.
A lot of parents have recommended the Bark app. Are you familiar with that? And if so, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, actually, so I've used Bark for my kids pretty early, a few years ago. I think that it really depends on your kid and your own tech savviness. It can be a little bit difficult to get running properly. And there are some weird hiccups in how it works to filter and notify. But when my kid first started texting, I had Bark on and it would flag. So what Bark is, for everybody to know, it's a monitoring app. So you can install it on your kid's phone or iPad, and it will monitor kind of the activity that your kid is doing. And you can also include different accounts, like a YouTube account to monitor and an email. Some of the issues with Bark is that it can be kind of bypassed fairly easily for a savvy kid. So if your kid is really looking to get around it, they're probably going to be able to. If they're not, and you just want to be able to monitor their stuff and they're not really going to be, then it'll probably be effective. For me, it was really helpful at the beginning because I didn't want to read all of my kids' text messages, but I did want to be flagged if there were something that I needed to be aware of. And Bark allows you to do that. And so the text just kind of goes up into the Bark server, the Bark analyzes it, and then will let you know if there's concerning content and a variety of other things you can set as flags in there. So it can be helpful. It's a little bit of a not great answer because it really depends on the situation and how you feel about managing it.
I think we have time for one more question. Anyone else?
I have a
Well,
question.
yes.
I just wanna, because the folks may not have been here last week, so I just wanna be clear as a wrap up. The recommendation for introducing a phone
Yes.
is now ninth grade. Eighth grade or ninth grade.
Yeah. End of middle school.
Right?
Mhm.
Yes, and, social media,
High school, over 16 if possible.
okay.
The later, the better.
And you have strategies for these folks that maybe have kids that have phones or
Yes.
need some strategies to be able to refer to.
Yes,
I
absolutely.
think
Yeah.
the sleep thing is really important.
Yeah.
Ben and I went to, I think Elsie Allen and talked to some students there who was doing some research on just mental health.
Yeah.
And the number one contributor to poor mental health was lack of sleep.
Yeah.
And it's because they're responding all night long
Yeah.
to texts.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a massive issue
that
and
includes
notification.
Yes. Yes.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So,
Massive.
so that really is we didn't pick that just because it really is a low hanging fruit that for a lot of families can make a big difference. Really quickly before we end, I just wanted to introduce Megan really fast. She's here in your community in Petaluma. There's some of her flyers in the back too. You guys have the opportunity to bring this to life now. Like, we're not here to tell you how to do it. She's someone to reach out to. So grab her flyers. She does Screen Sanity events where parents can talk about this together in smaller groups, because the more you can get parents together talking about this, the better. So
And
Faye,
I also agree that sleep was my hill that I was thinking about. And I tried doing all sorts of things and my son just kept finding, you know, was asleep. So we have this huge ugly black box and I lock it and I sleep with the key under my It's so much better that now I can sleep, he can sleep, and it's much easier to deal with.
Yeah.
But
so thank you for having us, and we'd
Yeah,
like to
thank you so
introduce
much.
Ramona.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Well, I think the kids out back are having a great time. And I think if they come again, they'll probably bring a friend, actually. Good evening. My name is Ramona Faith, for those who don't know me, and I'm very privileged to be serving as the CEO of Healthy Petaluma. I want to thank you so much for joining us. This is a very important topic of discussion. Healthy Petaluma, as a healthcare advocate, we are concerned about the health and well-being of our youth and the impact that social media and technology is having on our youth. And we also think about the parents that are trying to manage this and mitigate this at home. So this is for you. The Youth and Technology Education Series actually has been a collaborative process. Healthy Petaluma could not have presented this and put this on without the help of our wonderful community partners. So I want to take a moment and thank them. We have special thanks to the Blue Zones Project team, and especially for hosting. Thank you so much. We have the Petaluma Education Foundation. We have Studio PR and Design Guild. We have Screen Sense, and of course, Generation Remix. I also want to thank our Healthy Petaluma team for spearheading this. This has been a lot of work. This has been a vision of ours to be able to really bring this forward. And I want to raise your hand, Matthew and Ben and Carolyn. Thank you so much for making this happen. I also want to recognize the community parents. You guys are here because you're engaged, and it's nice to see parents who are trying to work together to try to address this issue. And the schools, we reached out to the schools. So Petaluma City School District, Old Adobe School District, and St. Vincent's. They actually came to us after a letter that we sent and said, we do need help. We need education. So thank you for doing that. And of course, Bianca for keeping us all on. No, there's no glitches. Hello there. As Matthew mentioned, we know that health is not only physical health. Health includes spiritual health, and it includes physical and mental and emotional and social health. And that means we need to continue to support our families and our students and our schools and our neighborhoods so that we can really promote health and well-being. And conversations like this helps get us there. If you want to stay connected with Healthy Petaluma, please visit our website, which is healthypetaluma.org. You can learn more about our programs, our partnerships, and our work. We have a newsletter that you can sign up for, and you can keep up-to-date information on exactly what we're working on. In addition, please check out the Blue Zones Project Petaluma website to learn how you can become involved in our community-wide well-being initiative that's transforming wellness at all levels. It's pretty exciting. There's lots of great work going on in Petaluma to promote health and well-being of the residents within our community. So kudos to all of us. Before we close, I would like to just mention one other thing, and that is we're entering fall, so we're really encouraging you to stay up to date with your flu and your COVID-19 vaccination. And I was just informed by Sonoma County that childhood immunizations in South County are lower than the entire county. So work with your physicians, make sure your children are up to date with their vaccinations. Getting vaccinated protects not only you, and your family, but it protects those around you. So anyway, thank you so much again for your participation. Thank you so much for your interest, and thank you, students, and welcome students. Thank you so much. There's food, there's questions. Matthew's going to throw a party. There's lots of things that are going to be going on. Thank you.
Feel free to stay and converse and connect. And don't leave any people hungry.